Hi and welcome to another very cool Apple Swift tutorial. Today we're going to improve one of our hands-on projects of the last tutorial. We have created a Twitter-like app that we call Swiffer, and you were able to post a tweet which is very similar to a tweet. You have 140 characters to do that. As soon as you hit done, you will get back to our Swiffer timeline, and you get this bunch of tweets displayed within the timeline. Today, we will create, or we will improve this app a little further by giving the users the possibility to add a profile image. We will then store this profile image with using Parse. So we are going to store all the data in the cloud, and you are going to learn how to use the Parse framework to upload data to the cloud and again use them within your app, downloading them or do whatever you want with them. If you haven't followed along with the last tutorial, that's no big deal. You can either click on the video description, or you can just download the start files from the video description below. And that's what we have got here. So let me just illustrate how this actually works. So you actually, let me just log out. You get the login screen as soon as you are logged out. So I'm going to enter a new username, which is going to be user4, simple password. And we say sign up. And as soon as we do so, Swiffer asks us if we are allowed to access the photos. We say yes, and the new iOS simulator comes with a great set of photos. So let me just choose one. And as soon as I have selected this photo and I try to write a tweet, nice tweet from Brian, and say done. And as soon as we did that, you'll see that this profile image is now used within my tweets. All right. So let's go ahead and unpack the zip file, open it, and you already have prepared the complete app that we have developed in the last tutorial. And I've cleaned up the code a little, so it's pretty easy to follow along. So the first step that we need to do is going to a storyboard and enable the user interface to display the image that we are going to show. So let's resize this text view a little and add another image view, which is going to be responsible for displaying our profile image. Just drag it to our prototype cell and arrange it. So let's say that we get a nice 100 by 100 squares. So let me go to the size inspector and manually type in 100 by 100. All right. Now I'm going to maybe make this cell a little bigger. Bring that down. Or maybe we should make it a little smaller. That's all right. This a little bigger again. Cell a little smaller. And that's it. Now that we have created this image view within our prototype cell, we will have to connect it with the code. So let's go open the assistant editor and make sure that we have the correct class selected, which isn't timeline table view controller, because we want to change something within the suite table view cell class. So the assistant editor offers us the Swift table view cell class as well. So let's just select it. And now we will press Control on our keyboard, click and drag to the right side here, and then release the mouse for example here, and now we're going to create an outlet which we will name profile image view and say connect, or just press enter on your keyboard. As you know, when you followed along, it is very important now to initialize this new outlet. So let's go into the Suite Table View cell and call the initializer of the profile image view by calling UI image view, open and closing parentheses. And so far for our preparations. Now we can go to our timeline table view controller. And as you remember, when we log out and we get this sign up login alert controller and we sign up for the first time, then we will get we will come to our image picker. Well, that I should enter some credentials before I hit any buttons, but because we want it to happen right when we click on sign up, it's pretty obvious that we should actually take a look at our function, or at our UI alert controller that is responsible for displaying this message. So when the login was when the sign up actually was successful and there was no error, then we can show our image picker controller. So to do so, we have to create one, and this is pretty easy. We just have to say that we name it image picker, for example, and then we create an instance of UI image picker controller and just initialize it by using UI image picker controller initializer. And now we can select a source type. If you are testing this app on your real device, then it's no problem to specify the camera. But since we are using it within the simulator at the moment, we say as a source type we use UI image picker controller source type dot photo library, which will only open the photo library. And because we need to do things after someone has picked an image from the image picker, it is pretty cool that the image picker offers us a delegate which we can set to self. Well, we will now get an error because we have to adopt both two protocols. We have to adopt the protocol of the image picker controller, and because the image picker controller uses some stuff from navigation controller, we also have to use the navigation controller delegate. So let's first adopt to UI image picker controller delegate, and if I build, you see that we still get an error. So we also adopt to UI navigation controller delegate, and as soon as we build the app, all is fine, build succeeded. All right, now we can actually just say self.present modal view controller, or let's use present view controller without completion handler. Present view controller. Well, we have to use that one. Present view controller, and we will use the image picker as our view controller, and we want it to be animated, so true, no completion handler, and that's it. And as soon as we now run the app, we should be seeing the image picker controller. So let's run the app. Simulator is already in use. Do it again. All right. You see that we do not have any images right now because there is no images to be displayed, and we also have to create this logout button, which I forgot to include in the starter files, but that's not a big problem. So let's first create this logout button. And therefore we're going to use a a table view footer, and let's go into the view did appear function, and let's create a footer view. So say var footer view as a UI view equals UI view, and we'll set a frame for it. UI view frame CG rect make, and we will let it start at 0, 0 in the upper left corner of the footer view, and it will get the iPhone screen's width. So let's use self.frame view.frame.size.width, and the height of 50 pixels should be enough. Now let's set the table view's footer view to our new footer view. Table view dot footer view table footer view equals our new footer view. Okay, so now we have to add a button to this footer view. So let's create a button. Let's say logout button UI button equals UI button dot button type button with type, and this is going to be a UI button type system style, and we will cast it to a UI button. Build works good. Now let's set a frame for this button. Logout button dot frame equals CG rect make. We'll say we'll start at 20. 10 wire position, width of 50 pixels, height of 20 pixels, and now let's set a title. Logout button dot set title for a specific control state. So let's say this is logout for the control state normal. So UI control state dot normal, and now we have to add a target to our button. So let's call add target, which is self. So the function that we're going to call is logout, and we want to listen for the control state touch up inside. So it is UI control events.touchup inside, which is actually when the finger releases from the screen. Touch up inside and inside of the button, not outside of the button. And now don't forget to add the button to the footer view. So add subview logout button. All right. And because we now have, we can actually take a look at it. So we have our button, and we actually can log out. But when we think about the process that I showed you earlier, we have to log out before we can sign up again. And the sign up, our login screen, should also pop up when we press on the logout button. So we have to move some of these things a bit. So let's just select all of that code which is running when there is no user logged in, and we are actually in the view did appear function. So every time the view appears, it is checked, is there a user logged in already? And if it's not the case, then show this show our alert controller. So I select all of that stuff. I think until here that was too much. Yeah, I should just collapse it. Be a little more tidy here. And now can just select the right bits, which should do it. All right, now let us create another function which will do the logic that we've just cut from our view did appear function, and we will call it function show login sign up. There need to be no parameters in this function, so don't forget the parentheses. And now just paste the code here, and we can then call it in this if statement when we check if there is already a user logged in when we start the app or when we come back from the compose view controller. So let's say self dot login. What was it called? Show login sign up. All right. And in addition, we need to find our logout. We need to create a logout function. So let's do that at the end of our file, relatively at the end, because I have also created a so-called extension of our timeline table view controller class, which allows us to group some of the code a little better. So I have this extension here, timeline table view controller, and you can see that everything that now has to do with the table view control, like self-arrow at index path, number of sections in table view, and so on, are now nicely grouped within this outliner here. And this makes the code a little more readable, just so that you do not wonder what this extension means. You can use it a bit like a replacement for the pragma mark, which isn't working right now, and I'm not sure whether it is going to work within Swift in the future. So let's create our logout. Let's create our logout function. So this function logout, and this actually can receive a sender, which is a UI button. UI button, because it will also be called when we click on the logout, obviously. So let's just say pf user logout. And then after we've logged out, let's show the login and sign up screen again. And because we have now added the sender button syntax here, let's check if we have made the right call. Here, yes, there is the call, and this is important. As soon as you add a target to, let's say, a button, and the action that is be called when the event is triggered, then you must be sure to have this colon here if there are parameters within the function definition. So let's run the app. Click on logout, and you see we've got our sign up login again. And if I rerun the app and we are not logged in, then we also get the sign up login screen. And that's actually just what we wanted. And we have stopped our efforts of the image picker. So let's just say we have a new user, which is 7-123 sign up, and we have now created our image picker, and it asks us if we would like to access your photos. Yes, that's okay. And we can actually now pick a photo, but nothing really happens. So we have to implement one of the delegate methods of the image picker, and which is image picker did finish picking with media with info, and I'm just copying that function because auto completion isn't working that nice. So let me paste that here directly after our call for the new function show login sign up. And first thing we have to do is to get the image that the image picker actually picked. So let's create a constant here, which is the picked image. And this is actually a UI image that we are going to receive here. And we have to use the dictionary that is offered as info, and say info.object for key. And we have now different options like UI image picker controller, original image or edited image if the user has edited something, and we will cast it to a UI image because it is not clear that the object coming from the dictionary is actually a UI image. Now we actually have to scale the image down a little because we only display about 100 by 100 pixels. So it would be great if we could scale it down. So let's do a little comment here, scale down image, and we'll do that scaling in just a second. So to upload it to Parse and to save it in the cloud, we actually have to create a PNG representation of the image. So let's also do that. Let image data, which is actually binary code in the form of a PNG, UI image PNG representation. So the image that let's for now use the picked image. We will later change that. Picked image. And what this function does is actually taking the UI image and convert it to a binary code that represents all the specifications of a PNG file. And that is what is going to be uploaded to Parse. So next we will create a Parse object, which is the image file, and you have within Parse a special class for that, which is pf_file, and we will then initialize this object using just data. And you could also give this this a name, for example. You could say name and data, and then using this initializer, you could give every image that you are uploading to the cloud a specific name. But we won't need that. We can just use data. And if we do so, then a specific file name will be assigned by the Parse server. So let's just use our image data. And now, actually, we're ready to associate this image file, this profile image, with our user. Therefore, we're going to use the pf_user, current user, which is the user that is already logged in at the moment, and set an object for key. So which object are we setting? It is the image file for key, which we can select ourselves. Let's say profile image. All right. And now all we have to do is save this. So let's say pf_user, current user, save in background. That's it. And because we are still within the image picker delegate, we now have to say the image picker, okay, you have selected the image, now please dismiss this picker. So let's say picker.dismiss, mode view controller animated, true. Good. Now, as I told you, it would be nice if we could scale the image down a little. So let's write a custom function for that purpose. So let's say function scale image with, we will take an image, which is a UI image, and we will take a new size, which will be a CG size, and we will return a UI image again. And to manipulate this image, let's create an image context with options. So let's say UI graphics begin image context with options. We want a specific size, and this is the new size actually, new size. We don't want it opaque, so let's say false, and no scale, so 0.0. And now let's draw our new image, the image that we offer our function, let's draw this image in a rectangle, which begins at make 0, 0, and has the width of the new size dot width, and also the height of the new size. All right. And then let's create a new image, which is a UI image, equals UI graphics get image from current image context. That's it. And now it's a UI graphics and image context. And what we have now is a very nicely scaled image. So let's return it, return new image. Well, that's it. Actually, we have forgotten a comma here. So let's put it there. Build again. Build still failed, and I think I have just... we're missing a comma here, so let's just add it. And that should do it. Build it. Works. And now, as I told you, we want to use this scaled image here. So let's say scaled image equals self.scale image with the image, which is the picked image, and a new size of, let's say, CG size make 100 by 100. That should do it. All right. And now we, of course, have to use for the image data also the scaled image in order to upload it to the server. And that actually should do it. And when we run the app again and click on the logout button and sign up again, let's say with user 8 and simple password, sign up, select a nice photo like this one. Now we're logged in. Let's add a nice suite. Say done. And you see nothing happened so far. Because when we have a look at Parse, everything worked just fine. But we have, of course, to display the image within our app using our self-forward index path method. But let me first show you what has actually happened. So we have our user here, and the user 8 that we just created has now a profile image. So let me delete all other users in order to keep this to keep our app clean, because from now on all users will have the ability to display a profile image, and when we click on it, and we can actually download it. And because we have not entered a file name, the file looks something like that. But as soon as we add a .png and say add, you see that we have this nice image in the right aspect ratio, and we can use it now within our code to display next to our suite. So let's scroll down to the extension, and we have actually here the code that gives us the user that has composed a specific suite. So there we are going to use this specific user, and first of all, we have to create the profile image, or get the profile image. So let's just write a comment here for that we know that this is for the profile image, and we'll first set the profile image views alpha value to 0, so that we get a nice fade animation of this as well. So let's also animate this in here. Profile image view.alpha equals 1. And now we will create a PF file object, which is also called profile image, class PF file equals, and now we take our user, and we could actually say object for key, or use the array syntax and access it using profile image, because this is our this is our key for the profile image. We also use it here. And we have to cast it to a PF file because it is not obvious that this is going to be a PF file. And this works nice. So now we can call a specific method of the PF file, which says get data in background with block. We use this block. We can remove these parentheses and just open some curly braces, and then type in our parameters, which is image data of class n as data, unwrap it, and also an arrow, which is part of this closure, and as arrow, also unpack that. Build. Oh, we forgot the return type, which is void in. All right, build succeeded. And now we have to check if there was an error. So if there is no error, we can actually proceed and say let image, and the image is actually now transferred as binary code through the Parse framework, and we receive an as data object, which we will now have to convert to an ordinary UI image. So we use the UI image initializer. So let's also say this is a UI image, UI image initializer, and we can now use data and use our image data to initialize this image. And all we have to do now is say cell.profileImageView dot image equals our image. And if we now build and run our app, then we should actually see, well, nothing. And this is actually because we have made a little mistake. When I have deleted all the users from Parse, I should also have deleted all these suites. So let me now be a little more thorough here and delete all the objects and create that from scratch. So let me run the app again. And we get now our user login. So let's say we are now again user 1. Say 1, 2, 3, sign up. We want to access photos. And now let's say we're at the Big Ben, and let's do a suite, which is hello nice world. Say done. And now we get this cool photo with the right aspect ratio, scaled down to 100 by 100 pixels. And let me add another suite. Say send. Cool. There it is. Now let's log out. Say user 2, 1, 2, 3. Sign up. And say, this time we're going to be a Golden Gate Bridge. And now let me say, hi, I am user 2. Done. And you see there is the Golden Gate. And let's do it just one more time. Sign up. Wait a little until the image picker arrives. And this time let's say we're a dog. And say, hi, I am a dog. Done. And that's it. Now you have seen how you can create an app that saves files to the Parse backend service, which is quite easy, and you could imagine a lot of different things doing with this ability to save files in the cloud. If you have a look at the Parse service and you take a look at pricing, then you see that you actually get 20 gigabytes of free storage, and that is a whole lot of stuff. So try it out and let me know what you have done with your app, or how you have improved our cool Swiffer demo app, and have fun using Parse and Swift.